Hey there, amazing folks over 60. Welcome back to Senior Health 365. I am so glad you're here with me today because we're diving into something that could truly make a difference in how you feel every single day. Let me ask you this, have you ever wondered if the foods you've been eating for years, foods you thought were healthy, might actually be working against your heart? It's a scary thought, right? I mean, we're all trying to do our best to stay active, keep our energy up, and enjoy these beautiful years. But sometimes, even the healthy choices we make can quietly chip away at our heart health. Today, I'm going to share some eye-opening insights about certain vegetables. Yes, vegetables that might not be as heart-friendly as you think, especially for those of us in our golden years. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which ones to watch out for and some simple swaps to keep your heart strong and your body thriving. This isn't about fear, it is about empowering you to make choices that let you live your best life, whether that's dancing with your grandkids, taking those morning walks, or just feeling great when you wake up. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive in. First, let's talk about a vegetable that's a staple in so many kitchens: potatoes. Now, don't get me wrong, potatoes aren't the villain of the vegetable world. They're packed with nutrients like potassium and fiber, which are great for us. But here's the catch, it's all about how you eat them. For a lot of us, potatoes mean fries, chips, or creamy mashed potatoes loaded with butter and salt. Those preparation methods can turn a humble spud into a heart health hazard. The high sodium and unhealthy fats in those dishes can spike your blood pressure and clog your arteries over time. And for seniors, keeping blood pressure in check is so important because our hearts are working a little harder as we age. Here's a real-life example. My friend Margaret, who's 68, used to love her weekly fish and chips night. She thought the potatoes were fine because, well, they're a vegetable, right? But after her doctor flagged some creeping blood pressure issues, she made a switch. Instead of fries, she started roasting small portions of sweet potatoes with just a drizzle of olive oil and some herbs. Not only did she notice her energy levels improve, but her last checkup showed her blood pressure was looking better, too. The takeaway: if you love potatoes, go for baked or roasted versions. And try sweet potatoes for a heart-healthier option. They've got a lower glycemic index, which means they won't spike your blood sugar as much, keeping your heart and energy steady. Next up, let's talk about corn. Oh, corn, it's the star of summer barbecues, right? Corn on the cob, creamed corn, or even popcorn feels like a wholesome choice. But here's the thing, corn is starchy and can act more like a grain than a veggie in your body. It's high in carbs and can cause blood sugar spikes, which, over time, can stress your heart. For those of us over 60, our bodies aren't as efficient at managing those spikes, and that can lead to inflammation, which is like a slow burn for your heart and arteries. I'm not saying you have to ditch corn completely. Life is too short to skip that occasional corn on the cob at a family picnic, but it shouldn't be a daily go-to. I remember chatting with my neighbor Tom, who's 72 and loves his gardening. He grows the sweetest corn in his backyard, and it's his pride and joy. But when he started cutting back on starchy veggies like corn and swapping in more leafy greens, like spinach or kale, he told me he felt lighter and less sluggish after meals. His doctor even noticed his cholesterol levels were improving. So, what can you do? Try filling half your plate with non-starchy veggies like broccoli or zucchini instead of corn. They're lower in carbs and packed with fiber, which helps keep your cholesterol and blood pressure in a happy place. Another vegetable to watch out for is canned peas. Now, peas are great in theory, full of vitamins and even a bit of protein, but those canned versions, they're often swimming in sodium to preserve them. And too much sodium can make your heart work overtime. High sodium intake can lead to fluid retention, which puts extra pressure on your blood vessels and heart, something we want to avoid as we age. I learned this the hard way myself. A few years back, I was tossing canned peas into my soups because they were quick and easy, but when I started checking the labels, I was shocked at how much salt was in there. Switching to frozen peas or fresh ones when I could get them made a big difference. And my soup still tasted amazing. Here's a quick tip: if you're using canned veggies, Rinse them thoroughly under water to wash away some of that sodium. Better yet, go for frozen peas. They've got all the nutrients without the salt overload. And if you're like my friend Susan, who loves her veggie stir-fries, toss in some fresh or frozen peas with garlic and a splash of lemon for a heart-happy dish that is bursting with flavor. Alright, we've covered some big ones already: potatoes, corn, and canned peas, and you're probably starting to see how small changes can make a big impact. Stick with me, because we're going to keep exploring more vegetables that might be sneaking in some trouble for your heart. And I'll share even easier ways to make your meals both delicious and heart-healthy. Let's keep this journey going. Now, let's keep this heart-healthy journey going with another vegetable that might surprise you: beets. I know, beets seem like a superfood, don't they? They're vibrant, packed with antioxidants. And you've probably heard they're great for your blood pressure. And that's true, beets can be fantastic in moderation. But here's the flip side. They're also high in natural sugars, which can be a problem if you're eating them too often, especially for those of us watching our blood sugar levels. As we age, our bodies can become less efficient at processing sugar. And those spikes can lead to inflammation, which puts extra stress on your heart over time. Plus, if you're buying pickled beets, they're often loaded with sodium, which we already know can sneakily raise blood pressure. I was chatting with my friend Linda, who's 65 and loves her beet salads. She'd have them almost every day, thinking she was doing her heart a favor. But she started noticing she felt a bit sluggish after meals, and her doctor pointed out her blood sugar was creeping up. Linda didn't want to give up beets entirely. She loves that earthy flavor, so she made a smart tweak. She now enjoys them once or twice a week, paired with low-sugar veggies like arugula or cucumber, and she uses fresh beets instead of the pickled ones to keep the sodium down. She told me she feels so much steadier now, and her last checkup showed her numbers were looking great. So, if you're a beet fan, keep them as a treat, not a daily staple, and go for fresh or roasted ones with a splash of olive oil and herbs for a heart-friendly twist. Next, let's talk about eggplant. Oh, eggplant, it's so versatile, whether it's grilled, baked, or turned into a creamy baba ganoush. But here's something you might not think about. Eggplant is part of the nightshade family, which includes tomatoes and peppers, and for some of us, nightshades can trigger inflammation. Now, not everyone is sensitive to nightshades, but as we get older, our bodies can become more reactive. And that inflammation can quietly harm your heart and blood vessels. Plus, eggplant is often prepared in ways that aren't so heart-healthy, like fried in heavy oils, which adds unhealthy fats that can clog arteries over time. My cousin George, who's 70, used to make eggplant parmesan every Sunday. It was his signature dish, and we all loved it. But he started noticing some joint stiffness and bloating, and his doctor suggested cutting back on nightshades to see if it helped. George swapped eggplant for zucchini in his parmesan recipe, baking it with a light sprinkle of olive oil and herbs instead of frying. Not only did he feel less achy, but he also noticed he wasn't as out of breath during his evening walks. If you suspect nightshades might be an issue for you, try cutting them out for a couple of weeks and see how you feel. And if you're craving that eggplant vibe, zucchini or mushrooms can give you that same hearty texture without the potential inflammation. Another one to watch out for is canned or processed spinach. Spinach is a rockstar veggie, right? It's loaded with iron, vitamins, and all sorts of good stuff, but when it's canned or overcooked, it can lose a lot of its nutrients. And canned versions often come with a hefty dose of sodium, sometimes more than you'd expect. Too much sodium can make your heart work harder by raising blood pressure and causing fluid retention, which is especially tough on us as we age. And if you're eating creamed spinach from a restaurant or frozen package, it's often mixed with heavy creams or cheeses, which add saturated fats that aren't great for your arteries. I learned this one from my friend Carol, who's 67 and loves her comfort foods. She used to keep canned spinach in her pantry for quick side dishes, thinking it was just as good as fresh. But when she started reading labels, she was shocked at the sodium content. Some cans had nearly a third of her daily limit in one serving. She switched to fresh or frozen spinach, which she lightly sautés with garlic and a tiny bit of olive oil, It takes barely any time, and she says it tastes so much fresher. Plus, her doctor noticed her blood pressure was more stable at her last visit. So, stick with fresh or frozen spinach whenever you can, and keep it simple with heart-healthy seasonings like lemon or garlic to let those nutrients shine. We're making some great progress here, friends, and I hope you're feeling empowered to make these small, doable changes for your meals. Your heart's already cheering you on. Let us keep this going with a few more insights to keep you and your loved ones thriving. Alright, my friends, we're in the home stretch now, and I am so excited to share a few more insights to help you keep your heart strong and your days full of energy. Let's dive into another vegetable that might be sneaking some trouble into your meals: parsnips. Now, parsnips look like carrots' pale cousins, and they're sweet and delicious, especially roasted or in soups. But here's the deal: they're high in natural sugars and starches, which can cause blood sugar spikes that, over time, put stress on your heart. As we age, our bodies don't handle those spikes as well, and that can lead to inflammation or even insulin resistance, which isn't great for your arteries or your overall energy. I saw this firsthand with my friend Robert, who's 69 and loves his root vegetable medleys. He used to pile parsnips into his Sunday roasts, thinking they were a healthy choice. But he started feeling tired after meals, and his doctor suggested cutting back on starchy veggies to stabilize his blood sugar. Robert didn't want to give up that cozy, roasted veggie vibe, so he swapped parsnips for lower sugar options like turnips or cauliflower. He seasons them with rosemary and a touch of olive oil, and he swears they're just as satisfying. Plus, he's noticed he's got more pep in his step during his morning gardening. So, if parsnips are a regular on your plate, try mixing in some non-starchy veggies instead. You'll still get that hearty flavor without the blood sugar roller coaster. Next up, let's talk about tomatoes. I know, tomatoes are practically a way of life for many of us. Think pasta sauces, salads, or even a juicy slice on your sandwich. But like eggplant, tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, and for some of us, they can trigger inflammation, especially if you're eating them in large amounts or in processed forms like canned tomato sauce. Those canned versions often come with added sodium or even sugar, which can creep up on your blood pressure and heart health. And if you're sensitive to nightshades, that inflammation can quietly add stress to your cardiovascular system over time. My neighbor Dorothy, who's 73, used to make her famous spaghetti sauce every week, always starting with canned tomatoes for convenience. But she started noticing some joint pain and a bit of puffiness, and her doctor suggested testing a nightshade-free diet. Dorothy switched to making her sauce with fresh tomatoes when she could, or she'd use tomato sauce, a clever blend of carrots, beets, and spices that mimics the flavor without the nightshade effects. She was amazed at how much lighter she felt, and her blood pressure readings were steadier, too. If you love tomatoes, you don't have to say goodbye forever. Just cut back on processed versions. And if you suspect nightshades are an issue, try a week or two without them to see how your body feels. Finally, let's touch on canned carrots. Carrots are fantastic, crisp, sweet, and full of beta-carotene for your eyes and immune system. But when they're canned, they often lose some of that nutrient punch, and they're packed in sodium-heavy brines that can strain your heart. Too much sodium can lead to fluid retention, which makes your heart work harder, especially as we get older. And let's be honest, canned carrots can taste a bit mushy compared to their fresh or frozen cousins. I learned this one from my friend Alice, who's 66 and loves her quick dinners. She used to toss canned carrots into her stews because they were so easy. But when she checked the sodium content on the can, she was floored. Way more than she expected. She switched to fresh or frozen carrots, which she steams with a sprinkle of dill or parsley. Not only do her meals taste fresher, but she's noticed she doesn't feel as bloated. And her doctor said her heart health markers are looking solid. So, skip the canned carrots and go for fresh or frozen. They're just as easy to cook and so much better for your heart. As we wrap this up, I want you to know that making these small changes isn't about giving up the foods you love. It's about choosing what fuels your body and keeps your heart happy. You're not just eating for today, you're eating for those moments that matter. Chasing after your grandkids, taking that dream trip, or simply enjoying a sunrise walk without feeling out of breath. Every little swap, like choosing fresh spinach over canned or zucchini over eggplant, is a gift to yourself and your future. You've got the power to feel your best, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. If you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more amazing folks like you. Drop a comment below and let me know which vegetable surprised you the most, or share a heart-healthy recipe you love. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you never miss a tip to keep you thriving. Here's to your health, your heart, and all the joy in the years ahead. I'll see you in the next video.